Hey, investors.
I am here with the Property Challenge podcast.
I teach investors all around the world how to become real estate investors and
How to overcome their challenges. Join me here every single week. PCP, the Property Challenge podcast.
when I started this podcast and when I said, what am I going to talk about? I said, the best name is
The Property Challenge.
Hey, investors. Welcome to another episode of the Property Challenge podcast with your host, Terrica Lynn Smith. And you already know I'm about to bring you guys the tea. I like to give you guys kind of like that behind the scene of what takes place in real estate. And one of the biggest topics I get DM'd, and it's like super hot, is wholesaling, right? And so wholesaling, people have mixed feelings. It's like you talk to some and some like wholesaling, but then you talk to others and they're like, I absolutely hate wholesaling. Those people are disgusting. And so I kind of wanted to bring some myth busters to the table, give you a few ways to protect yourself if you are dealing with a wholesaler, and then just allow you to be able to make the best educated decision you possibly can with real estate wholesaling. So the first thing I want to say is there's nothing wrong with becoming a wholesaler. Like, there's so many ways you can get started with real estate investing, and wholesaling is one of the easiest entries into real estate investing. Now, some may say, why? Well, because you don't need as much capital whenever you're doing wholesaling as if you were becoming a real estate agent, or if you were a builder and or a developer, or whatever the case may be. It would be completely different, especially with costs. I'm actually involved in a real estate development where we done spent almost $500,000 and we haven't even picked up a rock yet. So, it can be extremely costly at times whenever you're getting started with real estate investing. And so I feel like wholesaling is just such a great way to start. One of the things I love about wholesaling is that you're able to participate in a transaction and learn on both sides. It's the only transaction in real estate where you can become a seller and a buyer at the exact same time. And so you're probably like, oh my God, T, like, what does that even mean? Like, break that down for me. Well, let me just say this. There are bad wholesalers who remind me of sleazy car salesmen that work at those mom and pop lots with those dusty cars, and they sell them to you during the income tax season, and in less than 30 days, the car is broken down. Those are the type of wholesalers I do not like. Wholesalers who don't know their market, wholesalers who don't run their numbers, wholesalers who's just trying to make a quick dollar off of you, and they don't care who they harm in the process. They do have those type of wholesalers out there, and you have to be very cautious of that. And so when I look at a wholesaler, right, what is it, right? What is a wholesaler? I wrote down a wholesaler is someone who knows a person who have a property that they want to sell, and they find a buyer for it. So essentially, the wholesaler is just a middleman, if I'm being honest, okay? I'll use myself for an example. Let's say I'm a seller and we see all the bandit signs. The bandit signs are what you see on the corners where it says, we buy houses now. We buy houses cheap. Guaranteed to offer in 24 hours. Those are all of your bandit signs, right? And you're probably in a financial situation where I may be in a financial situation where I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I need to sell this property. Well, knowing that I need to sell this property, it may not be in the best condition to go on the market with a realtor. And so I may try to look at seeing if maybe I can unload the property that's off the market. But the problem is, where would I find a wholesaler that would be interested in helping me sell this property? Well, wholesalers are all around, right? They're at all the networking groups. I can guarantee you that if you post your property for sale on Facebook Marketplace, I guarantee you wholesalers are going to call you. Or you may just call the sign that you see and say, hey, I see that you give offers in 24 hours. I'm looking at selling my property. So let's say I get a phone call from a wholesaler, and this is an experienced wholesaler, a wholesaler who has a buyer list. He pays for a seller list, and you can pay for a seller list through PropStream. Shout out to PropStream. They're one of our affiliate partners. Just mention my name, Terrica, and they'll give you a really great discount. But you can you can look up the seller's contact information and all of the information on that property just through PropStream, right? So I'm in a bind. I need to sell my property for $20,000. So I called John. I know John. He's been posting all over the internet how he got properties and how he's been trying to sell things and how he's doing so great. So I say, hey, John, I have a property. I'm interested in selling. Can you come take a look at it? John comes take a look at the property. He looks at the value of the property. The value of the property is like $150,000. Okay. I only want $20,000 for this property. So John's job is to find a buyer who's willing to pay his assignment fee and also the main seller's purchase price. So what does that look like? The assignment fee from the wholesaler may be $30,000. You're like, dang, that's more than what the seller is getting. That's how it happens all the time. So the seller, they are happy at $20,000. Some may say, oh, you have a fiduciary duty to tell that seller that they should be able to get more for their property. The thing is this, two things. Number one, if you're a licensed real estate broker and or agent, you do have to disclose that. But number two, if you're not regulated by any real estate commission, you do not have to disclose that. They should seek legal counsel and legal advice on their own to make sure they're making the best educated decision. Me, on the other hand, I'll typically say, hey, look, your property is going to be worth about $150,000. Are you sure you want to sell it for $20,000? Because what I may do is I may just sell it at a higher price. That's the right way to be as a wholesaler. Most wholesalers are sneaky. They tell you to tell people that they're contractors coming in. In actuality, it's buyers that's coming in to look at the property. To me, those are the really sleazy ones. And honestly, I just don't trust them. If you lie about something so small like that, you'll lie about the big thing. So now I'm watching you with my side eye because I just don't trust you all the way. So we end up saying the wholesaler end up finding an end buyer who's willing to pay $60,000 for the property, okay? Or $50,000 for the property. All right. So if the wholesaler found this end buyer that's going to pay $50,000 for the property, you have two options. You can assign the contract over to the buyer, and he sees that you have it under contract for $20,000, and the seller sees that you also selling it for an additional $30,000, and the seller may be like, I don't want you to make $30,000 off of this deal. I want to be able to make that $30,000, right? So a lot of wholesalers won't even do assignments anymore. They do what they call a double closing. So a double closing takes place because it creates two transaction files. In the first file, it's going to be the seller and you as a buyer. And the second file is going to be you as a seller and then your end buyer who you're selling the property to for the $50,000. That way, when you do it that way, it's typically cleaner. Now, some title companies may say, hey, look, in order for us to issue you a title policy, we have to see that you have those reserves in your account. We can't just take your word on it. And if an attorney starts saying that, then you can say, okay, well, maybe you need to find another title attorney or whatever the case may be, right? So we end up taking the contract, right? Selling the contract. The wholesaler, John, he makes, how much do he makes off this deal? $30,000. The seller wanted 20. John did 30. The end buyer paid 50. So the end buyer ended up paying $50,000 for the property that's worth $150,000. Now, what's cool about those numbers is when you do $150,000 and you multiply it times our 70% rule, it says that the most this property should be purchased for with renovations included is $105,000. So the end buyer don't give a doggone what John has made, but the seller is feeling some type of way if we didn't do a double closing. So that's why it's important for you to understand when you're getting involved with these wholesalers, you need to ask them, well, how much are you going to make on this deal? I challenge you to ask them that. There's nothing wrong with asking a wholesaler, how much will you make on this deal? Because 9 times out of 10, if they're a good wholesaler, they'll tell you, oh, I'm gonna make 10 to 15,000, 20, 30,000, whatever that number may be. I remember when I did my first wholesale deal, and y'all, it was a juicy deal, right? It was a juicy deal. It was a new construction property. The owner, the husband died in a war, and then the wife ended up on drugs. And so she just did not want the property anymore. So we had to, before I can go into contract legally with her, I wanted to make sure that I got her mental health tested because I wouldn't want to take advantage of someone who lost their husband in a war. Now they're on drugs, and now they're trying to sell me their brand new construction house for $75,000 in Youngsville, Louisiana, which in Youngsville, Louisiana, $75,000 house does not exist new construction. You would find that nowhere. So we end up having her tested. They said that she was competent and that she was in legal capacity to enter into a contract. So I asked her, I said, okay, how much money do you want for this property? She said, I just want to make $40,000. So I said, okay. I said, well, let me be honest with you. I'm going to make way more than $40,000 on this property. I'm going to take this property and I'm going to sell it to an end buyer. I'm going to do what's called a hoteling. This is not wholesaling, it's hoteling. Hoteling is when you buy a property, you don't have to do anything to it. You just throw it on the market at market rate and then you sell it. She said, I do not care. I want my money now. That's what her words were. So, of course, I said, okay, I made sure that we documented the entire process. I made sure that the attorneys was aware of it. I made the attorneys re-ask her the question. I made sure that I did all my due diligence possible because I'm about to get the deal of a lifetime. Now, this property was worth about almost $200,000 in Youngsville. I have it at $40,000, okay? So I go and I sell the contract for $140,000. I can't make this up. $140,000, and it sold like that. I didn't have to put in no work. I didn't have to fix it up. I just broom swept it, mopped it, plugged in some air fresheners, and made it smell extremely good. And so I ended up walking away with my first 6-figure check from real estate wholesaling. Now, some would be like, man, see, I just don't know about that. Like, I feel funny doing that. Well, if you don't buy it, she's calling someone else. And all you can do is your fiduciary duties to make sure that she's competent and that she understands the agreement that she's entering into. This woman had so much anger and grief and frustration with the United States of America about her husband getting killed. She wanted nothing that was built in America. And I'm like, well, she probably need to go to Beijing or something because pretty much everything here is built in America. You know what I'm saying? But she was done. She didn't want to be there no more. And so when I look at that situation, yes, I made 6 figures on it, but I also used my heart and my discernment. I didn't allow the money to control my mindset. And so, when you start making 6 figures in real estate off of a transaction, now, mind you, that's a one-in-a-lifetime deal because that was a sweet deal. I haven't seen it come back around yet. But when you start doing those type of deals, you don't have to be slimy and grimy with it. Like, you don't have to be disgusting. You don't have to try to, take advantage of people. That's like the biggest thing for me. I hate when someone takes advantage of someone when they're looking for help, when they're looking for you to see them through this and you treat them like a sleazy car salesman with a high interest rate and a large down payment and you flip them upside down before they leave your parking lot. you're going to have to answer for that one day. And when you have to answer for it, you better pray that it's not like a Samson situation where you're humiliated in front of all of your peers because of your pride and because of your greed. And so I think it's extremely important when you're doing these wholesale deals. Yes, wholesaling is so much fun. It's so lucrative. But let me tell you a few things about wholesaling because I want you to be prepared for it, right? You have to build you what's called a buyer's list. That means you can use ActiveCampaign. You can use, I forgot the MonkeyChimp or something, MailChimp. You can use MailChimp to build your email campaign list. Your email list is going to be one of the most important things you have because that email list is equity. Every time you add a name on it, it turns into income. So if I wanted to sell my email list because I've made millions and millions of dollars off of my email list, then I probably would sell it at a 1 or a 2x multiple for what email lists are going for. So you want to start building your email list right away because when you have that, you can start communicating and creating this ambiance of investors who's on your email list and they sit around and wait for your emails daily. It becomes a lot easier for you to be able to sell those properties and be able to get out of those properties very quickly because you already have a pool of investors through your email list. The second thing I would tell you is that you need a software such as PropStream. And if you mention Terrica name, they will give you a discount. I want to say they'll give you a 7-day free trial for you to hop in there, test it, see if you like it. If you are a wholesaler, you will need PropStream. PropStream helps you find absent owners. PropStream helps you see if a property is going through foreclosure. PropStream can help you get mailers out where you're able to send it out to people in that area and say, hey, I noticed that your house has a lot of overgrown grass and the windows are boarded up. I would love to make you an offer. What day and time are you available? That's what PropStream does for you. So as a wholesaler, again, you want to make sure that you're building your buyer's list. And then the way you find sellers is through PropStream and through bandit signs and newspaper ads. I don't know if you guys been around as long as I have, but we used to have what was called the thrifty nickel. Then it turned into the quick quarter, right? And a lot of people would go to get those papers just for the comics. I would go and get the papers to see what real estate was on the market. And so you may be like, well, T, I don't know what kind of contract I should use. Guys, you can literally Google anything. Can you find me an assignment contract? Or you can just join our protege community and our inner circle program where we provide you with the real estate calculators to run your numbers. We provide you with a 30-day access for PropStream. We also help you in regards to getting all the information you need on that actual property. And so when you think of wholesaling, there's so many pros that goes with it that, it's almost hard to say, why wouldn't you do this? That's why when people say they have $0 to invest in real estate, I start choking because you have money to invest in every single thing but yourself. I see people, no matter how much money they make, they still can't manage it. They still live in paycheck to paycheck. So it's not about the money you make from the deal. It's about how can you make this money grow. I am constantly focusing on ways to buy income. I am not interested, nor do I have any relationships with people who are not interested in buying income. Because what happens is if I hang around 5 people, moan, groan, and complain, and have all of these financial burdens, you better believe I'm going to be the 6th one. But if I hang around 6 millionaires who's having wealth conversations and we're exchanging strategies on how to build our real estate portfolio, I'm going to be the 6th millionaire in that group. And so you want to be careful who you decide to partner with because wholesaling is not going to happen overnight. You're probably going to have to call 30 to 40 to 50 different investors for you to get one yes. And that's okay because we know that no means next opportunity. So don't get so caught up with why they're not sharing their properties with you. Don't get so caught up in the money because it's all shiny and pretty and you hear everybody making 4, 5, and 6 figures off these deals. get caught up with helping someone get out of a bad situation in their life. You are a superhero. And as a wholesaler, if all you see yourself is as a wholesaler, then you are disgusting to me. I like wholesalers that are real estate investors first. That's what I like. I'm not here to offend anybody, but if the shoe fit, you can wear it. I don't take back what I'm saying. This is the truth. If you are scamming people out of their properties and not being transparent with them, not being 100 with them, not communicating with them, then you are a fool. And I hope everything that your hand touches comes to destruction. And I send every single agenda that you have placed on these innocent people, I send you back to the pits of hell and allow you to deal with that with God, because that is wrong. We had a situation where a wholesaler convinced the owner, who was incompetent, she was incompetent, to sign over her family farm. Listen to this. She signed it over for $1. Those type of wholesalers make me sick to my stomach. You took this lady, this elder lady who trusted you, who believed in you. You took her property for $1 that she owned free and clear because you made her believe that her property was not worth what she was asking. And for those of you who saying the woman should have never sold it for $1, have you ever experienced someone with mental health issues? Have you ever experienced someone with schizophrenia that is clawing the walls in the house just to get out? Have you ever seen someone nails inside of a wall because they are terrified that something inside of that house is going to get them? Have you ever witnessed that? Because if you haven't, you can't pass judgment onto why this woman did that, because the truth of the matter is she didn't even know that she did that. So they do have slimy wholesalers who will take your property for $1. I read about another story in in Florida, where this wholesaler took this woman property for $10. Told her that she was signing a third-party authorization so he can have a conversation with the bank, but not only have a conversation with the bank, he was also going to take over her mortgage payments and that she would be able to remain there. This woman ended up committing suicide. So when I think of these stories over the past 20 years of me being in real estate, and witnessing these stories and reading these stories, I take it personal when I realize someone has been messed over. And let me tell you something. I am the Olivia Pope minus the infidelity. I am a fixer. I will fix the situation if I find out about it. There's not a news channel I won't go on. There's no limits I will stop at if you take advantage of someone who is mentally incapable of making the right decision. And there's family members, and let me talk to you family members out there. You should be involved in your loved ones and the decisions that they're making, because they're losing their entire retirement account just by getting a phone call, letting them know that their 401k account has been hacked and that they need to reset it. And once they reset the people password, they empty out their 401ks. That's not wholesaling, that's just stealing and fraud. But it goes along the lines of us younger generation. We are called here, not just to be here, but I believe that we have to take care of God's people. And so if you have a loved one and you know that someone is trying to take advantage of them, and a lot of the times it comes from the ones inside of your family, people that you know, love, and trust, they want to be able to get every single thing they possibly can. I remember when my grandmother died, and she had a house full of stuff. She had gold spoons, just all kind of stuff, right? And my godmom, she was up under the impression, she was like, I just don't really want anything here. Like, My mom, she kept a lot of things. I love her, but I don't want to keep anything. And so the siblings, my God, the grandchildren, Jesus Christ, they went bananas fighting over who was going to get the bed, who's going to get the sofa, who's going to live in this house, who all this belongs to. And because my godmother's mother left a will, she put my godmother in charge because she knew she would be the right person to do the right thing. So if you have some loved ones that's up in age, I'm telling you now, they are the prime candidate for these disgusting wholesalers who want to take advantage of them, who want to rob them of their home. I can't believe a property was sold for $1. I can't believe a property was sold for $10. I'm telling you now, you better believe that. Now, let me give you guys some good news, because I know that all sounds dark and gloomy, but I just wanted to give you guys kind of like the real of like how to look out for this and how to pay attention to this and how to talk to your loved ones about the decisions that they're possibly going to make that can affect them for the rest of their life and affect their legacy, their children, their grandchildren for the rest of their life, right? One of the things that I do love about wholesaling is that I tell every single seller that I am a real estate investor. Hi, my name is Terrica Lynn Smith. I'm interested in buying your property. I'm not going to pay market value for it, and I am going to sell this property for a higher value. Are you okay if I do those type of things? You see how that conversation is different? I'm not going to have to hide people coming into the property and they're lying about being a contractor. I don't have to do it. I told you what I am. I told you what I'm going to do with it. I may keep it or I may sell it. I don't know. But what I will do is bring in other investors and see if they have interest in it as well. They may want to renegotiate the contract at that point in time and say, you know what? I probably want more for my property. I don't even get mad at that. As long as my numbers work for me and my numbers work for the end buyer, I'm always willing to sit at the table and negotiate with a seller. The second thing is you got to stop being a secret investor. Nobody knows who the heck you are. So you need to get your name out there on Facebook saying, I am looking for real estate investment properties now. DM me what you got, even if you don't know to have the conversation. If they're asking you a question and you don't know the answer to it, one, you can join Protege, our community, and or two, you can go ask Google. I'm not sure if AI going to give you the right answer. They're still working, building that out. But what I can tell you is that you would get the right answer in the right community. The second thing that I would tell you to do, other than, stop hiding and being this ghost real estate investor, is to own who you are in this. Determine what type of person are you going to be as a real estate wholesaler, because they got some slime bags out there, and I just don't believe that you are one of them. The next thing I wrote down is wholesaling allows you to build relationships. You are able to build relationships with those individuals whose life you have helped change. I can't tell you how many times I get stopped inside the grocery store with people saying thank you. Yesterday, I went shopping for our Riot Foundation. We have that event coming up on July 10th. If you guys are available, we'll love to have you there, July 10th, 2025. And it's literally teaching kids to speak out loud about depression, about anxiety, about drug abuse, about molestation, about loneliness, about rejection, about confusion. Like all of those things are what we're going to be talking about. And so building these relationships allows you to get into additional rooms. So when you start doing right by one person, guess what? They're going to go and tell the next person. And then after that, they're going to tell the next person. And so you want to be the one that they're bragging about in a good way. You don't want the reputation of, oh, she's a snake and she just took advantage of my parents' property. I would never use her. Guys, look, reputation is what people give you. Character is who you are. My character can't be changed by nobody but Terrica Lynn Smith. My reputation, on the other hand, that can be changed by everybody else and their mama. I don't live for their reputation. I live for my character. I live to make sure that my life resembles as much as possible a Christ-like life. I want to be able to pour into people and share people. That's why I have, like right now, this podcast is all free information and game for you guys to be able to go and learn. But I also have paid communities where when you want when you want coaching inside of a program that we have, and you want to be in a more intimate environment, we have options for that as well. But what I'm telling you is that you want to make sure that your character remains untouched when you become this, because look, money only glorifies who you are. Money will only glorify who you are. Ask me how I know that, because I have had a lot and I've had none. But at the end of the day, I still serve on Sundays. At the end of the day, I am still picking up my cross daily, asking God to help me carry it because it's such a heavy load. At the end of the day, I know I can't bring none of this with me. So I might as well match my character as much as Christ-like as possible. That's, to me, is what being a real estate investor about. That, to me, is what being a great wholesaler about. So ask yourself this question after this episode: what type of wholesaler you're going to be? Are you going to be the one with a reputation that's known for helping and saving people? Or are you going to be the one known for scamming people and taking advantage of people? I don't have to call out no names, but even in my area, if you mention certain wholesaler names, people face turn up. They're like, I could never use this person. They're a scam. That's the God honest truth. And the other thing I will tell you is this: you do not need a real estate license to get started with real estate investing. Not in wholesaling, not in building, not in fix and flips, not in multifamily developments, not mobile home parks, not industrial parks, not storage units. You don't need a real estate license. You just have to have that will and that commitment to be able to do it right and do it now. Do me a favor. If this episode have blessed you and you found it informative, please share this episode with 3 people and make sure they click the subscribe button. Every week I am coming on here dropping you guys gems, dropping you guys the nuggets that you need to be successful in real estate. The other thing that I will tell you about wholesaling before I get out of here is you will need a dog. You will need I forgot what they call it, a bird dog. You will need a bird dog, right? A bird dog is the ones that's going to go find these deals for you, just like PropStream does, but you only pay them once you close the deal. But their only job is to ride around, look for properties that's abandoned, look where the grass is overgrown, go to the tax assessor's office, ask the tax assessors for the information, and then you're rocking and rolling. And or you can just join our community and get PropStream for 7 days free, and we would love to have you. Thank you guys so much for another episode of the Property Challenge Podcast. I'm your host, Terrica Lynn Smith, and I'm out. Peace.